is the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, laughably, Chrystia Freeland. She's asked here from the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Andrew Furey, how they're going to reduce the cost of living by increasing the carbon tax. So here is how she responds.
Like you said, Premier Andrew Furey has written a letter again to the Prime Minister asking for a pause on clean fuel regulations. In your opinion, is there a chance that pause could happen?
Look, I take the concerns of the Premier, of Ken's constituents, because Ken talked to me about them. I take those concerns very seriously. The cost of living is a real challenge here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And, gas is a part of that. Heating oil is a part of that. I think it's important to recognize that the climate action incentive payments, they're going to make a difference. That's $1,300 for a family of 4. I don't want to overstate it. It won't solve everything, but it will make a real difference. And I do also think we all need to recognize, and look, people here recognize it maybe more than pretty much anybody else in the country, that the climate transition is an opportunity for our country, that it is something that if we embrace, and we are, that is a tremendous source of jobs and growth for today and for the future.
I don't know who's embracing it. I think everybody's being pretty much forced to embrace it. Right. And it's only the young global leaders from the World Economic Forum, like Justin Trudeau's cabinet, who are, who think that this is a good idea and somehow going to generate economic growth. We have the infrastructure, everything exists to have reliable, efficient, consistent energy production. And it's this government that stands in the way of that. And by imposing, we're not embracing that it's being imposed on us, this green transition. It's bankrupting people. I mean, just even removing the carbon tax would make such a big difference in the pocketbooks of struggling Canadians. I see it. You see the price of gas. I see it on my energy bills. I see it reflected in the price of food. This is obviously another failed Liberal policy, right? We just touched on the failed immigration refugee policy. These aren't well thought out things that the government is doing, and it's not them that's bearing the burden of the fallout. It's everyday Canadians and the people who were sold on this false notion of coming to Canada for wealth and growth, because that is not what is happening in Canada right now.
No, I wish I could find the video. Oh, I found it. And we probably wouldn't be able to play it all or anything like that. But basically, just to recap, it's this woman, she's actually asking Trudeau, and she's a disabled grandmother who went back to school and worked very hard on, being able to buy her own home. And she said, her...
we played that one a
couple weeks ago.
Okay,
so no need to play it. But she basically said that her hydro bill or whatever is more than her mortgage at this point. And how can this be happening? This is a disabled grandmother, goes back to school, works hard, buys her own home, and she can't even afford, her bills like that. So, and what is with this word transition? Oh, did you have something to add to that?
Well, that's from 2017. And so if people were struggling in 2017, can you fast track now? That's before the carbon tax. That's before the cost of living. That's before the housing crisis.
Know it was that old.
So that was happening,
find her.
You know what? I think that she's actually, I'm just seeing here in your link, Drea, she's from Peterborough. I wonder, I don't know. They don't say her name or anything, but Peterborough is not far from where I am. So if this grandmother happens to be watching, contact us. Let us know how you're doing now amid the housing crisis and the cost of living crisis and the inflationary crisis that we're facing in Canada, because a lot has changed since 2017. And in my opinion, it's only gotten way worse.
It has gotten way worse. And I just wanted to talk about that word transition, like Chrystia Freeland, they keep saying the climate transition, and you're right. This isn't something we're choosing. It's a hostile takeover. It's like, you do this, soon we'll find out exactly what the or else will be. But it reminds me a lot of sort of, the language that they used around COVID, instead of saying, we're going to make you separate from your loved ones, they called it like a bubble. Everybody loves bubbles.
Yes.
Kids love bubbles and things like that. Or we're just going to flatten the curve. I mean, you're going to be stuck in isolation, which is a form of torture and things like that. So this whole transition, like, it's just a smooth transition. No, it's a hostile takeover. It's going to be rough. It's going to have a lot of consequences, and it already is starting to.
We can see it. You can feel it. It's hitting at you where it hurts in your pocketbooks. And speaking of transition, we have another quick clip of Chrystia Freeland saying that talking about the government's travel advisory for LGBTQ travelers. But here, let's let the clip speak for itself.
Why has your government issued the travel advisory for LGBTQ plus people to the United States? And was this something you discussed with President Biden, or your government discussed with President Biden first?
So, as someone who has had the real privilege of serving as Canada's foreign minister, I know that our travel advisories are done very professionally. We have professionals in the government whose job is to look carefully around the world and to monitor whether there are particular dangers to particular groups of Canadians. That's their job, and it's the right thing to do. When it comes to the United States specifically, I have personal experience of dealing with a diversity of U.S. administrations and of dealing with American leaders at all levels of government, in all branches of government, and with Americans who represent diverse groups across the country, whether it is business or labor or civic organizations. And that's because our government understands, as every Canadian government needs to understand, that one of the principal responsibilities of the federal government is to understand how to work with our U.S. neighbor. I think our government has shown that that's a priority for us, and that we work hard at it, and that we're able to manage that relationship regardless of the choices that the people of the United States make.
I literally lose brain cells listening to her.
Even as we work hard,
she's still going
even as we work hard on that government to government relationship.
This is a prime example. Yeah, we don't need to listen to the rest of this. It's a prime example of how to say a lot of things without actually saying anything at all. It's just a bunch of word salad, so to speak, jargon.
And it's fueling the whole trans genocide. Like, what genocide is happening? The whole, and when there's a lot of like the trans activists that say things like, we do exist. It's like, no one's saying you don't exist. Like, everybody's complaining about nothing. I feel so bad for people in the LGBTQ community that just wanted to be accepted. They just wanted to be like everybody else, and then they have things like this. So it's like an advisory, and it must be hard to go through that. It reminds me a lot of like the whole Black Lives Matter time, where there was this impression that if you were Black and you went to the US, you were just going to get, like, especially a male, you were just going to get shot dead. And like some people actually believe that cops were just like going around and like randomly shooting Black men for zero reason, not for resisting arrest or pulling a weapon first, which was, I remember at the time when I was like, okay, well, how many, Black people did get shot by cops in 2019 without pulling a weapon? It was like 2 or 3, but the impression is so different. And then you have Canada behaving like this and scaring LGBTQ people
for no real reason.
Yeah, for no real reason.
What you're getting at. And I mean, oh my gosh, and I don't even know how to lead into this, because this is just, as David Menzies would put it, transanity coming from the United States. I guess we're not very surprised when you have people who don't know what a woman is there. They can't, you need to be a biologist to define a woman.